This is the Richard Smith Show, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs. How are we doing, Chiefs Kingdom? It is Wednesday, February 20th. Let's talk Chiefs. First off, I would like to touch base on a couple scenarios that could possibly go down here in the next few weeks at Arrowhead. Justin Houston and Daniel Sorensen could be on the chop block for the Kansas City Chiefs here in free agency. Reason being, that could clear up $18.7 million against the cap next season, and that would put multiple scenarios on the table to get younger and have the same production without the cost of superstar money. As it stands right now, we would owe Justin Houston $14 million next season, and Daniel Sorensen, we owe him $4.7 million next year. And honestly, this is a perfect year to see what we can get out of both of these guys. Justin Houston is still extremely productive. He had 9 sacks in 2018, 9.5 in 17. He was a bit injury plagued in 2015 and 16, but that was coming off a 2014 where he had 22 sacks. 11 sacks the season before and 10 before that. So realistically, Justin Houston has been extremely... the best word to put it would be productive. He's been extremely productive from start to finish. And is it time to move on? Possibly. We have a bunch of depth at the linebacker position, and we didn't get to see, much of Dorian O'Daniel this year. I can't remember. I'm having a brain fart right now, and I can't remember the other guy we brought in last year. But yeah, we have 2 young linebackers, Braylon Speaks, that are truly up and coming superstars, and we just didn't get to see too much of them because our depth is so deep at linebacker. So we can afford to cut our losses with a Justin Houston who still has plenty of value. Daniel Sorensen, I feel, has value too, and realistically, we can bring in, 2 to 3 top tier players. Just by trading away Sorensen and Houston and saving a bunch of cap room. Look, the free agent market for both positions is looking great. And at this point, who wouldn't want to come play in KC? Look at it as an opportunity for Kansas City. We would lose Justin Houston and Daniel Sorensen, which have been household names in Kansas City for years. But that happens. Us letting go of Alex Smith. I mean, it's just Tamba Ali, Derek Johnson. It's one of those things that it's a business. And right now is a great time to try to exercise our value out of both of these players. It is a business, and it's a perfect time to part ways with Justin Houston. It truly is. This is one of those scenarios where it's next man up in the NFL, and that's extremely clear and has been evident for years. And look, Justin Houston's production is there. Daniel Sorensen's production is there. But we're at a point at our franchise, which we haven't been in years and years and years, where a player like that is expendable for us. And it makes sense for us to try to get as much out of them before they decline and let somebody else pay them the big bucks. Look, they deserve it. It's just we have to put our money elsewhere. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's a business. It's purely business. With that being said, Dee Ford, I would almost bet money that we put the franchise tag on Dee Ford. It only makes sense, especially if we're going to cut our loss with Justin Houston. And I don't want to say cut our losses, but part ways with Justin Houston. It really makes absolute sense to evaluate every scenario. And Brett Veach and Andy Reid, they're making moves. They're not gonna stop. It's gonna happen every single year. You saw them with Ali and Derek Johnson. And look at the defensive side of the ball with the coaches. Without exception, every single position coach on the defensive side of the ball for the Kansas City Chiefs got the axe or demoted. What does that say about our front office? We want to win. We want to win. Look, we changed our defensive coordinator to Steve Spagnuolo. Our defensive line coach and run game coordinator, we changed to Brandon Daly. He was a former defensive line coach for New England. Linebackers coach Matt House was a former defensive coordinator at University of Kentucky. Defensive back coach and cornerbacks coach Dave Merritt and Sam Madison, both former defensive backs in the New York Giants under Steve Spagnuolo. Defensive quality control, Terry Braden, was also under Steve Spagnuolo. Brandon Daly has ties, and so does Matt House. So every single specialty position that we have, every position on the defense has connections with Steve Spagnuolo, and that's what you need to have. The only coaches who came back from the season before and have different jobs this year are outside linebackers coach Britt Reed, which is the son of Big Red, Andy Reid. Our defensive assistant is Alex Whittingham. Terry Braden was there last year as well. I'm sorry. But every other coach that we have hired has ties to Steve Spagnuolo or Andy Reid. So it only makes sense, for our defense to get better. But with all of that being said, I really want to touch base on the Justin Houston scenario. That absolutely is a conversation piece, as well as franchising Dee Ford, which is almost a guarantee. So, Chiefs Kingdom, I hope you have a great week. I'm sorry this is such a short broadcast, but at this point in the off season, there are not very many newsworthy things to talk about, and we can ramble on and on and on, but on my show, we stick to business. So, thank you, Kansas City, for tuning in. Have a great week. This is the Richard Smith Show, where we talk about all things Kansas City Chiefs.